All right, hello everybody. Welcome to bonus round. Anyway, too much things happening today. Couldn't resist not streaming again today. Definitely got to follow up to a couple of topics I talked about last night, as well as something else I discovered today and what it means for me. So we'll do a quick roll call. If I can get the darn poll out of the way. Well, I'm unfortunately going to miss the first few people, so I apologize for that. But anyway, Hot Crypto, thank you for being here. Gandalf Gray, Crypto Shaped, yes, the suspense. Integra Guy, thank you for being a member, appreciate it. Murky Solution, Automatic Beats, MH, Rud Puts, Bake It, Eggs and Hash, what's up with you? Sandman, Mining King, hey, maybe this will make a difference for you, we'll see. Pocket Change, thank you for being here, I appreciate it. Crypto Dave, wonderful dance partner and member, appreciate you being a member, as well as you Mining King being a member. And hello from Venezuela, or hello to Venezuela, I should say. I am not even going to attempt to pronounce that name. Anyway, alrighty, well, let's get right to it. We're gonna start with the Helium news. I actually have Flux up here. Let me get back to Helium. There we go. All right, so was looking through, and I've been following these announcements in the Helium announcements channel. So they've been talking about all the different things they've been finding, and nothing was as significant as what I found earlier this morning. So I'm just going to read through this. We have optimistic news today. Thanks to help provided by one of our community members. With their help, the core team was able to find a root cause of the flat line that some hotspots have been seeing since activating light hotspots. So I know, for instance, a few people in our community have had this problem. From the poll, about a third of you have had this problem. That matches me. I've got usually 1 out of 3 of mine is flatlined from time to time. So the one at my house, fortunately, has never been flatlined, but the other 2 have flatlined from time to time, especially the one at my in-laws house. That one is flatlined more often than not. So, but I have like asked them to unplug it, plug it back in, which wakes it up most of the time, but doesn't always work as well. So anyway, so let's jump right down to where what they were doing. So next steps for the fix. The core team will send the fix to the testnet and mainnet on alpha and beta hotspots as soon as it is ready. Tag the build for hotspot makers as urgent and mandatory. Hotspot makers will send the update down to their fleet and LFG. So we go down to the last update, which was as of 4 o'clock today. The core team will send the fix to testnet because they've already completed it now, and mainnet on alpha and beta hotspots as soon as it is ready, 1 to 2 hours from now. Let it sit for an hour and confirm that everything works. Tag the build for hotspot makers as urgent and mandatory. Hotspot makers will send the update down to their fleet. Watch vendor announcements and their social media Discord servers. And then, of course, LFG. So this is good news. This is really good news. This has been the major problem that's been plaguing the system. So even if yours doesn't have this flatline issue, or at least you may not think, if you have long periods where you're not getting anything, it's possible that that could be happening. But where they do talk about the problem, let's see. Basically, they talked about like it's where the they don't get a response from the validator. Hang on. Has to do with process. Oh yeah. Basically, while there's no further update at this time, this is from earlier. The team believes there's an underlying issue that has to do with the process shutting down and is actively working with technical community members. That wasn't exactly it. It must be in this one. Oh, here it is. To explain it simply, on a hotspot, one of the lower level processes that is used when connecting to a challenger stalls and never returns since there is no timeout explicitly set. The fix is to add a default timeout and a monitor so it knows to wake back up. So basically, if this stalls and there's no response, the hotspot just sits there waiting for a response. There's no timeout. So they're setting a timeout so that it will wake back up and not have this problem. So seems like a pretty simple fix. A lot of bugs are pretty simple to fix once you've identified them. So I'm excited to see how this works and what this does for the network and to see what people's responses are. So really hoping that that will be a positive thing for the Helium network. So let me see. I'm not in Eastern time zone, Murky. I am actually in Central time zone. So before I move on to the next subject, so this is going to be kind of a boom, 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 kind of hit the subjects and have people ask a few questions. Probably keep this to about a half an hour. Definitely don't want to go into Teaspoon Miners time. I'm not sure what time he's going live tonight, but I do know he is going live later on tonight. Let's see. Any other questions? Okay, so nothing. Oh, automatic beats, 15 days of nothing. LOL. Automatic beats. Oh no, I'm thinking of somebody. I'm thinking of ABMNS production. Yeah, 15 days of nothing. Well, hopefully this fixes your problem. Definitely hope it does. So, okay, so now we're more like half and half. I'm going to go ahead and end that poll. Appreciate you all participating in that poll. But obviously, by that result, can definitely tell that there's quite a few people that have had that problem. Go ahead and end that. Alrighty, well, let's move on to the next subject, which is Ethereum and the concerns raised by BBT. So let me, what did I do with that? Oh, here it is. So as I discussed last night, BBT had expressed concerns about testing with the applications. So your OpenSea, your Uniswap, those types of applications, and just basically asked a question. What's the plan? He didn't know what the plan was. So he got a lot of, basically people thought he was just throwing FUD out there, but he was just simply asking a question. Well, thankfully, Tim Beiko came back with a very well thought out answer. I've actually asked him to put this into like a Medium article or something like that, because I think this is all really, really great points. But I'll kind of sum it up instead of reading the whole thing. Basically what he says is, we've had this open for applications to test for a long time. We've been asking them to test it. Kiln and Kintsugi, those were all meant for applications, DeFi apps, to actually test. So it's not like it hasn't been available to them. The ETH team can't be responsible for testing applications. It's kind of like Windows. Windows cannot be responsible for testing every single application that is going to ride on Ethereum. They can't. Or in this case, the example I was giving was Windows. They can't test everything. But what they can do is they can provide beta and loads and things like that, so that they can test to make sure their application will work with Windows, and then base their release that the major players are going to be just fine with a new release of Windows. Well, Ethereum's going by that same model. They are going to test Ethereum. They are going to make available to all of the dApps, have made available to the dApps, testing all of this. He also makes the point, and this is one of the things we talked about, and he does recognize it. So he talks about the fact that there's almost no change to the application layer. It's almost all in the client layer, which, yes, I understand, or the protocol layer, I should say, which we definitely understand. But he made a point here. Oh, here he says, it says, there isn't a specific risk here, but it's something along the lines of your app used a bunch of integrations to go from deployed code to the chain and to the UI, and something may break for a weird reason. And that's exactly the point that BBT was making. And Tim recognizes that is an issue. And that's why they've made these test nets available to dApps for testing. And they will make Ropstein and the other ones available. The idea, though, is Ropstein should be the last test for these dApps. And if there's no significant problem, then they will just move forward with the next two test nets, make sure everything still runs. But they really don't want to see any big problems with the final two tests. They want those kind of just to go out smoothly without a hitch, so that they can feel very comfortable going into the merge. So again, if you have any questions, look up Tim Beiko on Twitter, follow him. He's a wealth of information when it comes to the merge and everything that has to do with Ethereum. So hopefully that puts that issue mostly to bed. I mean, they are relying on the dApps. The real question is, how responsible are they being? I could say that just about anything. Hopefully, the big ones like Uniswap, OpenSea, and others that have so much invested in Ethereum, you would think they'd make darn sure that their stuff was going to work on the proof of stake network. So anyway, bottom line is, I don't see this being a delay whatsoever. I am predicting end of August, beginning of September, that time frame. I think they might just, like I said, give it that extra 2 weeks. I think they could be ready as early as mid-August, but I'm thinking end of August at this point. So that is the news there. Any questions about that? Wow, everybody's quiet tonight. Anyway, alrighty. Well, I don't have too many viewers, not as many as I had last night, but that is to be expected, since this isn't my normal night of streaming. But my plan is to actually take the content here and actually put it into actual content pieces. I figured might as well just do a live stream on it, get the news out there as quickly as possible, and then do some content pieces that I can put out over the next day. So, all right. Lastly, discovered, not even sure exactly how I discovered this, but I noticed that NBMiner came out with a new release, and it was pretty interesting to me. Oh, I remember how I figured it out. So I noticed that Hive OS had a new release. So I always look, oh, what's in this release? I noticed that they were up to 42.1 in NBMiner. It's like, really? Thought we were still in the 41s. What's in it? And a couple of really interesting things are in NBMiner 42.0. I mean, 42.1, basically, if there was a problem unlocking certain GPUs, this should hopefully help you. In Linux, I did not have that problem, although the one that I have in my computer might be one of those cards that does have an issue. It doesn't have an issue on Windows, but I moved it to Windows because it was having an issue under Linux. So anyway, so 42.1, somewhat interesting, maybe for some, probably not for most. But in 42, this was a really significant release. So basically, this extends the LH unlocker to work with old driver versions. If you remember me talking about this, I had to swap all of the cards in my farm because the RebTex couldn't get beyond 470.82. That was the most recent driver that I could get loaded on those RebTech boards. So that would not work with the NBMiner or any of the LHR unlockers. So that's why I did all that switch. Well, now one of the things I've done, I also had to put 2 of my 3060s in my Raptorium rig, which means I pay a little bit more to Hive in order to run it that way. But now I can hopefully move those 2 cards back into my RebTech board and see how it works. So I'm going to basically take a snapshot of how it's operating on the Raptorium rig, and then do it in the RebTech rig and see if there's any difference there. The other thing which will be good is I'll actually be able to go back to 32 threads with my Raptorium rig. I did back it down to 30 threads so that there's a little bit left for the Ethereum mining. So it will be good all around to move it back. So that was really significant for me and for others that may have equipment that can't upgrade their NVIDIA drivers like the RebTech boards can't. The other thing is it does say it improves LHR unlocker stability, although I wasn't really having any problems with 41.3 or 41.5. And the other interesting thing is that it does include a small hash rate improvement. So, for example, I was running at 81.9 on my 3070 Ti's before I made the change. And now I'm running at 82.1. So I got 0.2. So it's like 1/4%, something like, yeah, about 1/4%. So not earth shattering, but hey, it's free performance. I'm not gonna turn it down. So was definitely happy to see that. It did up my performance by about the same point, about 1/4% on my 3060 Ti's as well. Didn't see any change in the 3060s. So it may not help the 3060s, although I shouldn't say that because when I did it to, this is my Raptorium rig that I was just talking about. I did see a very slight improvement, not 1/4%, but it was very, very small. So, and if you notice this one's 0%, yeah, the back fan on this one I noticed is bad. So I'm going to have to replace it, unfortunately. Would be under warranty, but would cost me more than the 20 some odd dollars that it's going to cost me to replace the one fan on this. I mean, that GPU is a couple months old, maybe 4 or 5 months old, something like that. So that fan was bad out of the box. And you can see it jumps up to 48% and then it'll go back down to 0. It's like stuttering, that fan. It's really sticky. So anyway, definitely need to change that fan out. I'm actually going to be, after this, going to be shopping to get that fan so I can do that this weekend. But anyway, this I thought was a great find. So let me go back to here. So like I said, small hash rate improvement. And again, any improvement in stability, I'm all for that. So actually before this, I had to back down a lot of my memory timings quite a bit. And since the stability improvements, I've been able to bring it back. So currently here, let me go back to my Octominer rig. I'm able to get it up to 2,900. I used to be able to have these at 3,100. So I'm hoping to inch my way back up, see if I run into any stability problems. These are actually, this is Hynix memory at 2,200. That's pushing it. So to get a few invalids, not really that surprising. So I may have to back these back down. I had never been able to get more than 2,100 or 2,000 actually off of these consistently. So very curious to see what the results are. I will not push it past 2,200 with the Hynix memory. I think I'd be pushing my luck at that point, especially now that the invalids have started to creep in a little bit. So, but I'll be trying to, like I said, I'll be trying to do the 2,900, move those up. Might even try creeping up the 3060 a little bit. This one I had to keep creeping down because it had a lot of stability problems until I brought it down to 2,150. Now with the newer release of NBMiner, I might be able to bring this one back up as well. So with all of the improvements and the increase in the overclocks I've been able to use, I've now actually been able to get all the way up to 2.3 gigahash. I was going to say terahash, but not gigahash. Anyway, I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, well, I'll put it this way. 2,300 mega hash. How's that? Anyway, so that's where I am at on this. So very happy to see that I'm getting free performance off of the improvement of NBMiner. And honestly, I'm not going anywhere off of NBMiner. It's done really, really well. If it ain't broke, don't fix it is kind of where I'm at. So I'll be sticking with it and seeing where I can push the overclocks to and how high I can get, especially get my 3070 Ti's. I'm curious if I can get these up to 83. It'll be close if I can get these up to 3,100. I think it'll be at the top of the 82s if I can get it that high and have it run stable at that point. So, a couple other things. So they also added the GDDR6X memory temp in the summary table, which I'll show you in just a minute. And also the RAM type and the RAM vendor in the log. When you initially start up the miner, it shows all that information. Actually shows the driver version in the summary table. So definitely really, really liking this. Actually, I didn't even read all the way down in here. If overclock applies through NBMiner, reset settings to stock when miner exit. Huh. Okay. I mean, I suppose that. Oh, interesting. So NBMiner now has the ability. Oh, I did know this. Yeah, it did have the ability to. This is a really interesting feature, and I didn't even see this until now. If overclock applies through NBMiner, reset settings to stock when miner exit. This is a Windows feature. I used to run NBMiner, and when with locked core clock, but when you'd exit NBMiner, it wouldn't change the overclock settings back to stock. It would just leave it with the locked clock, which was very, very frustrating. So I'd have to run another NBMiner with a non-locked core clock to reset everything. So in this case, now it resets it back to stock when miner exit. That's awesome. That means I will not have to run, MSI Afterburner, or I've been using EVGA Precision. So will not have to run those anymore. I will just be able to run NBMiner. So I'll definitely be resetting the clock or the miner on this machine with NBMiner and the locked core clock and everything in the miner bat file. So, and then lastly, -MT option on Windows does not require custom driver anymore. Admin privilege is required. I don't even know what that -MT, I'm guessing that's something to do with memory timing. I don't know that. I don't know what that is. I don't think that's very applicable to the 3000 series, but I could be wrong. And then I thought the last note on here was pretty interesting. NBMiner versions older than 39.5 will run into issue when ETH reaches Epoch 520, approximately mid-September. Please make sure to upgrade to a newer version before that if ETH is still proof of work. So they did make that stipulation. I was kind of like, why are they even stating this? Okay, they got the disclaimer at the end saying, well, this may not be relevant, but in case it is, we want to make sure everybody knows about it. So I don't know why you'd still be running 39.5 at this point. Should probably upgrade. There's been some improvements. So I think most people will have upgraded by now anyway. So anyway, that is the news I had for tonight. Let me see. So Pearl Rival asks merge testing. Nothing really specific has changed with the merge testing other than the dApps have had the opportunity to test. The ETH team basically is insinuating that they've been testing. If there were any issues, they should have been identified by now. Most of the 99% of the work and the changes are in the protocol layer, not the application layer, but it should just be going through the motions of testing with the dApps because they shouldn't break. With all that said, they've been encouraging them to test because you never know how they implement things. And there's always that possibility that you could have just done something a little out of the ordinary when you implemented a feature that the Ethereum protocol team wasn't anticipating. So just they're very much encouraging that testing. So that's really the news. And that's what Tim Beiko was talking about in his tweets. Murky Solution is asking me, what's my favorite GPU brand? If I had to pick one, it'd be EVGA, and two reasons for that. Quality. I think they have a really good quality product that they put out. And two, basically their pro-consumer, just very easy to work with from a customer service perspective. If you have a broken GPU, call them up. They'll ask questions, of course, because they don't want to get taken advantage of. But, you know, if you have a broken GPU, they're going to replace it. They keep a certain amount of GPUs to the side to make sure that they have something to send out. I have not heard of anybody having to wait for a GPU when theirs failed. So they did plan to have some set aside. I think that's awesome. I think other brands did not do this and people were having to wait to get replacement GPUs when they did have an RMA, a valid RMA. I've had experience with some other brands and it's not always a great experience. Let's put it that way. My second favorite brand, although they are not as consumer friendly, is Asus. They make a great product, have had a few issues with their products. In fact, I have one GPU, again, it's a 3000 series. It shouldn't have had a bad fan at this point, but it did. So I had to replace that fan. And then I have another fan on my newest GPU, Asus Dual, and that fan is bad. So definitely have had a few issues. I have had no issues with any of my EVGA cards. So definitely EVGA for the win. Not only that, they foresaw, or maybe just by chance, but they manufactured in Taiwan instead of China. So they were not hit anywhere near as hard as the other brands were when it comes to the tariffs. So they did have to raise prices because of supply chain issues. You know, the cost of transportation went up a lot. So they did have those issues, but nothing like what the other brands had who were all manufacturing in China. So I don't know if you guys noticed that EVGA didn't go up as much. Mainly didn't go up as much because they were made in Taiwan. Let's see, anything else? Let me scroll down. Kyle Rogers, what about miner latency? Can you be more specific? I'm not sure what you're specifically asking there. Obviously the lower latency, the better, but if you're talking about one miner showing one amount of latency that's different than another, I guess I would look at it as how are they measuring it? You know, how are they actually, you know, labeling it? I don't know. I would look more at results rather than the latency itself, because the real latency is going to be the same, because you're going to a miner pool. You have a certain amount of latency. I don't think the miner's having any effect on that. It's just a matter of how they report it. ABMNS production. Hey, I was just talking about you. There is no such thing as best companies, best brands. As a consumer, you select the best value for money in your situation. You guys sound like fanboys. I am simply talking about my experience that I've had with each of the brands. It's really that simple. I've had good experience with EVGA. My son had a lot of problems with his 2060. He had a hell of a time getting an RMA. In fact, he got a second RMA. So he was, let's put it this way, he was very happy to upgrade to an EVGA 3060. He wanted to get away from Asus. I don't have as harsh of a review of Asus as he does, but at the same time, they could have handled things a lot better. So again, this is from personal experience. Other people may have a wonderful experience with Asus and a horrible experience with EVGA. That's possible. Again, I'm only sharing it from my experience. When it comes to MSI, I don't like MSI because they were known to be scalping through a subsidiary, and then they went, "Oh, we didn't know." Yeah, I cry BS on that. So they are not pro-consumer at all. They were scalping. Zotac was openly scalping by raising the prices higher than everybody else. So didn't like them. And my lowest hashing card is Zotac, Zotac 3060 Ti. It is the only Zotac I have. So I don't have a large sample size. I am simply stating from my personal experience that I'm not a big proponent of Zotac because of the one I have. Gigabytes, I mean, the biggest problem is their thermal pads that they use. So the thermal performance of Gigabyte is well documented. They could do better, but instead they cost cut to the bare minimum. So if you note, and that's hurting them actually, because now the word's out and now they're having to cut prices below everybody else in order to sell their product, because people would rather have anything but Gigabyte right now when it comes to 3000 series. Now they may have fixed that in later runs, but the word was already out, and I haven't heard anybody say that, oh, I got a recent, Gigabyte card and the thermal pads are way better. So it'll be interesting to see if Gigabyte changes their ways when it comes to the 4000 series when it comes out. Hopefully they do, and their thermal performance is a lot better than it was in the past, but time will tell. So we'll see. Brian Hollywood, new cam. No, I did a reset on the ZV1 that I was using. I had just some bad settings on it, and so I just made a few changes, and lo and behold, works a lot better. So yeah, hopefully you guys are noticing a difference. I also am not zoomed in as much. I zoomed it out, which allows the background to be in a little bit better focus than it was in the past, so you guys can kind of see what's going on in the set. So, but no, not a new cam. Let's see. Okay, going down. Unboxing project. Wasn't MSI also smuggling cards over borders by stating incorrect statement of loads in transport or something like that? I know somebody was. I think it was MSI, but I couldn't state for a fact. Yeah, that story was pretty messed up. That's for sure. Let's put it probably was MSI, because it was kind of like, yeah, why am I not surprised? So anyway, we shall see. Oh, looks way better, higher resolution and frame rate. All right, well, thanks. Appreciate that. Like I said, I only changed a few settings, and frame rate was not the one. Resolution was not one of them. But I'm sure I changed the lighting a little bit, which I think helps a bit as well. but I think just even the zooming out, I think it opens the aperture a little bit more, lets a little bit more light in. So I think that also is making a difference. So yeah, I see Sunflower Mama. Tell Max those 3060 Ti Hynix memory can do 65 mega hash per second stable. Really? We need to talk, Rondi. Give me the settings. We'll see. Yeah, I have not had that experience, but that was before the LHR unlocker was released. So anyway, was that the one you were talking about? Okay. Just wanted to make sure. So try 1500 core 3400 mem on those 3060 Ti's. Well, hey, no time like the present, right? So let me change over to the right screen. Let me make sure I've got, nope, that's the wrong rig. That's the wrong rig. That's the wrong rig. There it is. And it's open. Okay. All right. So now that I know where I'm going, let's go into here. And you said change it to 1500 instead of 1400. So we will change all of these to 1500. And you said, what do these go to? 3,400? Yeah, I know. These things are going to crash hard. I'm telling you. They won't break, but they will crash. But let's see what happens. I'd love to be proven wrong. All right. Hit go. Where is the fire extinguisher? Nice unboxing project. All right, well, here we go. Let's see what happens. Let's see if it crashes. Always fun to test things out live. This would be for downstairs though. Downstairs, but I do have a fire extinguisher. No, these are not ones you want to use on GPUs. You should have carbon dioxide fire extinguishers for that. Alrighty, let's see. I haven't seen the change yet. All right, I did hit go, right? I did. 1500, 3400. Although it does still seem like it's trying to make the change. So we'll see. We'll give it a little bit of time. Oh, there it goes. Look. CUDA error, unspecified launch failure. Device 3 exception, exit. Probably we'll try to restart the rig. So we'll try restarting the rig and see what happens. I'm guessing now it's probably offline. Yep, it rebooted itself. Yeah, you're funny, alt unboxing project. I do at least have the antithesis to that, which is Control-Shift-T. But you guys can't see how many tabs I have at the top of the screen. Rondi Fire. I'm trusting you, Rondi. Hope you're not trolling me. Yeah, my daughter's in the basement. Should I call her out of the basement? Alrighty. Let's see. Is it coming back up? We got one temperature at least. GPU driver error. Yeah, I'm thinking it is not liking that at all. we'll try it one more time. We're going to do a shutdown and boot in 30 seconds. It does say it's online. He might have. Okay, Rondi, let me know. Is that a bad thing? Or you just rickrolling me or what? Oh, okay. So try 3000 on the memory if your cards won't take it. All right. Well, let's see what happens. I'm guessing the same thing will probably happen again. And if so, I'll back it down to 3000. Yeah, see, it's only coming up with some of them. And it's going to try to boot these first. Let's try doing another refresh. Let's see. Alrighty. Where is the error? There it is. GPU 4. NV tool failed by timeout. Yeah, and then it just fails all the rest once it reaches one. So, all right, well, let's try 3000. Yeah, I really struggled with these. I have a feeling I'll have to back these down. But we will give it a shot. And then let's announce this offline. So I may have to go downstairs and manually reboot this thing. But let's see. Nope, came back up. All right, so it said applied with errors. So let's do another. So I'll just do a regular shutdown. Oh, not shutdown. That would be bad. Restart, reboot. There we go. And let's see what happens. But yeah, that'd be cool. I'd be happy with above 63. My regular ones don't get that. I don't doubt you that you've done that. I can just tell you I've had different results with these particular cards. Have you been doing these on EVGA cards? I'm assuming you have, but since you've done so many. All right, let's see. Let's go back over here. I didn't get an error, so that's a good thing. Let's do a reconnect. Let's watch it start. Other thing I do like about NBMiner is the fact that it like launches one at a time. So it doesn't like try to do it all at once like T-Rex, which obviously gets it up and mining faster, but I think runs into more problems when it tries to do too much at once. So let's see. All right, well, let me catch up with the chat while I'm waiting for this. This is how people make you lose some profits. I know, but I love to tinker like the next guy just as much as the next guy. So I enjoy this. Oh, Common Mining. Wish I could get my regular 3060s to act right. Yeah, look at that. Another CUDA error. Device 0. It's going to restart at least this time. Let's see what happens. Yeah, like I said, these cards do not act well with high overclocks. They really do not. I know other people have had that same experience. Crypto Donkey Miner has talked about Hynix memory and his dislike for it. All right, so we are mining. Let's see what happens with the next one. See if I can get this to be stable. All right, let me go back to the chat. And welcome to the rabbit hole. Yes. And that's pretty much, you know, come home from work, take a look. What can I tinker with? Especially with a lot of the new miners that have come out. So just looking to see where you can get a, you know, a little bit of performance. All righty. Well, not all of them have come back up. If you notice, 0, 2, 3, and 4 have all died. One of the 3070s hasn't come up yet, and that's really odd. But that could just be a side effect of what's happening to the 3060 Ti's. Yep, there it is. Launch failure, device 1, exit. I mean, I have gotten, I mean, it did go up to 64.49. So device 1, I'm assuming they mean ID 0, because I remember they showed that up above when they said device 1 exception. I think this time it's rebooting. Yeah, I think it's rebooting because it looks a little weird. So let me back these down. We're gonna go back down to 2800. And then we'll see. Do that. Yeah, it is an ROG Strix. What's funny is that's the one that's coming up. And I can get more than 1400 on memory. Or are you talking about Windows 1400? I've had it above that. I've had it up to 2200, no problem. But yeah, all the other ones are EVGA, and then this one is that one is an yeah, that one is an ROG Strix. I'm sure you were looking at the device ID. That's probably how you figured it out. All right, it's doing one more reboot. Let's see where we are at. Let's do a reconnect. So you think it's the number 1 is the one I need to bring down, but the other ones can go up. So we will check that out in a bit. Yeah, I need a haircut. I know a person though that cuts my hair though. Lovely Sunflower Mama is a person of many talents. AVNS production. They broke his mining rig. They didn't break anything. Yep. All right, so let's back that one down. Since he says this is the one giving me the problems, we're going to back this one back down to 2200 because it was running just fine there. And it was running, I'll leave it at 1500. That's not going to really affect anything other than my power, but let's just leave it there for now. Click apply. And I think it's rebooting again. This one was device 3. But maybe that one device is affecting the rest. We will find out. Let's do a refresh. It's probably rebooting. So, yep, it was rebooting. Oh, it's still live. It's not doing anything. GPU driver error. PCI 1, it looks like. Okay. Well, it doesn't appear to be rebooting itself. We're going to get rid of all of those messages. And we're going to try rebooting it again. Oh, it was starting to come back up. Let's do another refresh so we get out of this. All right. Let me see. Ron, you better stick with me on this one. All right, that's back up. Come on. There we go. All right, let's see what happens this time. Yeah, one at a time. Yeah, I was just trying to figure out what I could get maximum wise out of everything. Like, and then work up with each one. I try to find a new, like a baseline. So yeah, if you were thinking 3,400, I was like, oh, okay, well, we'll YOLO it to start. And then, yep, there we go. Miner program unexpected exit. Restart miner after 10 seconds. Unfortunately, that doesn't tell me what caused it. Well, it was a good try. It was a good try. We'll let it go one more time, see what happens. Otherwise, I'll try raising each one up and see what causes things to crash. I mean, that's generally what I've been doing anyway, but I've been doing it in like 50 segments. Sometimes I'll do like 100, but when you start like incrementally raising it, and there we have device 3, the DAG verification failed. 0 verification failed, again, because of the high overclock. Now we're getting share invalids. So yeah, I'm just going to back these back down and then do what I was doing before, which was slowly working them up. So, alrighty guys, well, wasn't really planning on doing this, but Ronnie piqued my interest, and yeah, and I think it's crashing again because it just stopped again. So actually, before I close the screen, so you asked me about the 3070 Ti's. 3 of them are for the Win 3s, and 3 of them are the one right below it, which I'm drawing a blank on what XC3s is what those are. So what's interesting, the ones that run hotter because it's in an Octominer and they're closer together are actually the for the Win 3s. The XC3s, which have more space, actually run cooler than the for the Win 3s. So let me again fix this. Let's just go down to 2,500 and see if it will accept something along those lines. Back up here, it was rebooting, so I need to refresh. It does say disconnected, so I probably won't get anything yet. Still says offline. Oh, it even rebooted on its own. Yeah, so I do have a watchdog on it that if it has a low hash rate for a long period of time, it'll reboot itself. So it's looks like it's back online. Should be shortly, I think. Let's try reloading. All right, Photowizer, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm probably boring you guys at this point. So I'm going to end the stream. I am going to play around with this a bit as Ronnie has definitely piqued my interest. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. Again, hopefully you guys found the topics interesting tonight. That was the reason why I did come online tonight, was to share the news about Helium NBMiner, as well as the ETH testing response to BBT's question about dApp testing. So, alrighty guys, again, thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate it. And you guys all have a wonderful evening.